So, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining today's webinar. It's on MERN Stack Development and its future. So, today's speakers are Prajit Miyakar, Senior Software Engineer, and Gautam Dash, Software Engineer working in SJ. I'm Moroy, hosting this webinar, currently working in Project Coordinator in SJ.
Welcome, everyone. We are here to give you a brief webinar on the MERN stack and the future of it. We are going to discuss so these are the things we are going to have and discuss. First we'll have the introduction, then we'll have a prerequisite, then we will see the MERN architecture, then we will discuss each of these technologies in detail, and at last Gautam will share his insight on the future of MERN. Next slide. Can we go to the next slide, please? Yeah, so what exactly is MERN Stack? MERN Stack is a set of robust technologies, right from front end to back end. The technologies are MongoDB, Express, React, and Node.js. So these technologies, you can build a full stack app with the help of these particular technologies. Now, you can start building it with the help of JavaScript. And why you should use it is because one thing is it's very easy to learn. The development is also very easy. You can just start off. You can just learn the concepts and start building an app. And also the apps are also scalable. So all these are the advantages of building an app using MERN. Can we go to the next slide? Yeah. So what technologies you should know before starting into MERN stack? So first thing is you should have a good understanding of JavaScript and ES6 in particular. In ES6, you should know the concepts like spread operator, arrow functions. You need to know promises, async, await, and let and const. So once you have a good understanding of this, you will be able to easily understand the concepts of React and Node.js. Okay, then you need to also have an understanding of HTML and CSS. Yeah. So now we'll just have a look at it of the architecture for the MERN stack, and we'll just try and understand what technology actually fits where. So as I said earlier, you can build front end and back end. So front end will be built using React.js. The DB will be, you can use a DB called MongoDB, which will be your which is where you can save all your DB details. And how are you going to link the front end with the DB? So for that, we have a framework called Express.js. Now, this particular Express.js framework will be hosted into an environment called Node.js. So this is the architecture of a MERN stack. Next slide, please. Yeah. So now Gautam will give you a brief explanation on React.js and MongoDB. Over to you, Gautam.
Thanks, Prajit. So first of all, I would like to thank everyone who has already joined that webinar. And I think that everyone is very interested to know about MERN stack and its future. So first, I'm going to explain what is React. So in brief, what is React? React is a free and open source front-end, the JavaScript library for building user interfaces based on UI components. And it's maintained by Meta, that means the mother company of Facebook, and a community of individual developers and companies. So React was initially released at 2013. So it's now 2022. So current version is 18.2. Okay. So before jumping into the features of React.js, first of all, I would like to say one thing. So the best part of React, I will say that we can build components differently and use those components at different places, such as you are building a header for your website. So in every page, you don't have to write the same code again and again. So you have created a component, header component, and you can use that header component anywhere. And another great thing of that reusability of the components is that those components could be dynamic. I mean, you can pass some props to the components so that it can be rendered dynamically. So here you can see the 6 features of React.js. First one is JSX, second one components, 3, number 3rd, one-way data binding, number 4, virtual DOM, number 5, simplicity, and number 6, performance. So please go on to the next slide. Yeah. So first of all, it is JavaScript. I mean JSX. So I will not explain actually everything of that. So just a brief introduction to JSX. So the first block, I mean the top block, you can see here is the code is written for creating a div. So what is JSX first of all? So it's an JavaScript XML. So what is XML? It's like an HTML like markup language, which we use to create different components of a web page. So in pure JS, we have to write like react.createElement and then div, and then the element we want to be printed on the browser. But in JSX, we can directly write like HTML. So in HTML, if we want to create a div tag, so we just create a div tag and put the elements inside it. Or suppose you have to create a button, so you can directly create insert a button tag and close it, and then it works. So in JSX also we get the same facility. In JSX, we can write actually XML like code, HTML like code. So we don't have to be, I mean, like in a complex situation. So every time you don't have to write too many codes for creating an element. So that is the one of the best thing of React. And second one is the virtual DOM. So first of all, I believe that everyone has some kind of idea of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So what is DOM? The DOM is actually the document object model. It's a cross-platform and language independent interface that treats an XML or HTML documents as a tree structure, wherein each node is an object representing a part of the document. The DOM represents a document with a logical tree. Suppose you have a web page. In that web page, you have the root element as HTML, and then there is header, there is title, there is body, and there are many more components. So what actually a DOM does, so it makes a tree of the components like that in the right side. Okay, please go on to the next slide. So we already seen what is the real DOM. So what is the virtual DOM? So real DOM, the virtual DOM is almost the same thing like real DOM, but one thing is in the virtual DOM, so nothing is printed or nothing is painted on the browser with virtual DOM. So why we use virtual DOM? Virtual DOM actually, suppose you are making any kind of change in the user interface. Suppose you are adding a button to your user interface. So what actually a real DOM will do? So he will take that, it's a new update. So he will paint everything again on the browser, the real DOM. But in virtual DOM, we do it so that it does not update the whole thing in the browser. So what the virtual DOM does? So virtual DOM here use a diffing algorithm for just finding what's the difference between the previous state and the current state. So from the picture you can see the virtual DOM. Previously there was 3 red nodes. So and then there were 4. I mean one node is updated. So as one node is updated in the virtual DOM, the diffing algorithm finds out that that particular node is updated. So then it serves the whole tree or whole model to the real DOM. So real DOM understand, okay, so that is the only part which has been updated. So I need to just paint that. So that is the, I mean, facility of virtual DOM. So in a sense, first of all, if you, I mean, like think that, so it's not very cost friendly. First of all, you may think, everyone thinks that it's not very cost friendly, because if we think about time, so first of all we have to create put a request to the virtual DOM, and then virtual DOM replicates the things, and then it transfers to real DOM. So it may look like that the job is twice, but it's not. I mean, if we think about the time complexity here, virtual DOM is very faster than real DOM, because virtual DOM does not actually paint the things. So he just only finds out which node is updated. So from that perspective, virtual DOM is super more powerful in terms of speed. So in this case, there are many other front-end frameworks and front-end libraries. In this case, React wins actually. Okay, please go on to the next slide. Second is MongoDB. It's another important part of MERN Stack. So MongoDB is actually a document-oriented NoSQL database to be used for high-volume data storage. So previously, as I mean, like if you already know SQL database, SQL is structured query language. That means every data you have in your database, those will be structured. I mean, like if you have a student table, there will be first name, last name, or email address or phone number, something like that. So you cannot break that structure anytime you want. So every data is structured there. But in MongoDB, we can store data as we want. Suppose we have a student database. So in SQL, if we have first name, last name, and email address, and a phone number, suppose 4 columns we have. So now, after a few days, if we think that a particular student has some more data, we cannot directly, change the schema because it's already structured. We cannot change the schema at once because that may affect the other tables also in the database. Okay, please go on to the next slide. So here are some top features of MongoDB. Why actually we use MongoDB? Because SQL is also, a very great database system. So GridFS is there, sharding is there. I am not going to explain everything, just telling the names of the feature. It's document oriented. There is a replication option in MongoDB. It's schemaless, indexing option, high performance, ad hoc queries, and aggregation. Next slide, please. So SQL versus no SQL. Just to give highlight on that. So in SQL, we say database. In MongoDB also we say database. In SQL, there are tables. So as we know, tables has rows and columns, but in MongoDB we say it collection. In SQL, it has rows. Suppose you are creating adding a new data to the database. So new row will be updated, a new row will be created for that particular data. But in MongoDB, it will be as a document. In SQL, it's columns, and in MongoDB, it fields. Okay. So here is an example of document-oriented database. First of all, you can see the ID. So the ID would be unique. For every data, the ID would be unique. And in the third field, you can see order. So in the order, in the curly braces, there are 3 more fields: order ID, product, and quantity. So this is the power of MongoDB. This you cannot do in SQL. In SQL, in the table, row column organization. So you can, if you want to add some new fields for a particular data, you have to add the columns also. Like in SQL, you would have to write order ID, product, and quantity, 3 different columns. But in MongoDB, it's possible to embed those 3 columns into one field. Okay, next please. Okay, so from here on, the Node.js will be introduced by Prajat Mayakar. So Prajat, you can take over.
Yeah, thanks, Gautam. So Gautam has given you a brief introduction on React and MongoDB. Now I'm here to give you a brief introduction on the backend technologies like Node and Express.js. So as we all know what actually Node is, I think so almost all of us have heard Node and the wonders which you can create. So what exactly is Node? Well, first of all, Node is not a programming language. It's a one-time environment in which you can run JavaScript outside the browser. Okay, so earlier to Node, you could only run JavaScript like within a browser. But with advent of Node, you can run the JavaScript code outside the browser. Now, how they have achieved it? They have achieved it with the help of the Chrome V8 engine. Now, we'll talk about the Chrome V8 engine in a while. And also one important aspect about Node.js is that it's a asynchronous and non-blocking architecture. We'll also have a look at this in a short while. Now, why Node.js is because it has become like a popular is because there is a huge set of community behind it. So anytime you are having building an app with Node.js, if you encounter any issue, you can check it on Stack Overflow and Medium, and it is definite that you should get a solution to it. And also there are like huge number of packages which are already built. So in case if you want to build a login or send an email, so in this case there is a package already been built, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel and build a package all over again. So you can just use the packages and you can build your functionality. Next slide. Yeah. So as I said earlier, with Node, you can run your JavaScript code outside the browser, but how they have achieved it. So as we all know, like there are like different kinds of browsers, like we have Internet Explorer, we have Mozilla, and we have Chrome. Now, each of these browsers, they have a JS engine embedded inside it. Now, what is the role of the JS engine? The JS engine would just take your JavaScript code and it will interpret it in instructions in which the browser could understand. Now, in case of Internet Explorer, it is Chakra. In case of Mozilla, it is Spider Monkey, and in case of Chrome, it is the Chrome V8 engine. Okay, so what they have done is they have taken the Chrome V8 engine, which is used in the Chrome browser, and they have built a wrapper around it, which is actually called Node. So yeah, so Node is like an interface for the V8 engine. It is built using C++, and yeah, so this is how you can run your JavaScript code outside the browser. Can we go to the next slide? So, as I said earlier, you can build a scalable site with the help of Node, but how they have achieved it? Okay, the way the Node has been built is, it is very simple yet sophisticated. So, so at the heart of Node.js, there is something called as event loop. Now, this particular event loop, it is single threaded, and since it is being single thread, for every request it will not create another thread. Okay, so here at the heart of it, it is just having like one thread which will just keep on accepting the request. Okay, so with since it is just having one thread, it will just keep on accepting the request without blocking a particular request. Now we will see some more information about this in the next slide. So now if we can see the architecture on the left hand side, we can see there are many requests which have been come through, and in between we have the event loop, and on the right hand side we have the call stack. Okay, so now so now the event loop, it has two main functions. So one is that it will continuously keep on accepting requests, and the function two is that it will check if there is any item in the call stack. It will just execute it, and once executed, it will pop it out from the call stack, and it will return a callback to the user, and he can in turn do some another set of instruction. So to give you an example, like if we have like 5 requests, so as and when I take request one, and if the request one is taking too long, it will not wait for request one to accept request two. It will just continuously accept the request, like request one, then accept request two, three, and so on. And in turn, in the background, it will just execute one after the other. So this is how you can build scalable apps, and this is the heart of the event loop. Next slide, please. So as I said earlier, Express.js is a framework which is built on top of Node.js. So all the capabilities of Node are already there in the Express.js framework. So Express.js framework, it has the HTTP methods like get, post, put, and patch. Okay, with Express.js, you can build an app. You can start building APIs and even the backend with just matter of few minutes. Okay, now we'll just see like how easy it is to write an Express app. Yeah, next slide. Yeah, so this is how it is. It is that easy. You can write an Express. So in the line one, you're just first of all, you will need to have to install all the packages. One would be the Express.js package, and you just have to create a file, and then after creating a file, you just have to import the Express.js uh, library, and then you create an instance out of it saying Express equal to app. And then if you can see here, it is they have written app.get. So it is a route which we have written. So every time you try to hit the localhost, it will just echo out saying hello world. And at the end, it has written app.listen. So this is how you start your server. Next line, next page, please. Yeah, so here we'll just see like what kind of methods are there. As I said earlier, in Express, there are like many HTTP methods. Some of them are get, post, put, patch, and delete. So if we can see get, the app part will remain safe, only like get, post will change. So if we have to try and understand what the get part does, is the first sub parameter is the route, and param2 is the request and response object. The request object will have all the information of the request. So like the params, all the data which you pass, it will be housed inside your request. And every time you want to send back some data, you can send it with the response object, saying rest.send would be the part of data. And if you want to send a particular status, you can do it with the help of rest.status. So first one is get, second one is post. Next slide, please. Put and delete. Actually, all of them are same. Only the protocol like get, post, put, and patch and delete would differ. Next slide. Yeah. So now once since you have been once you have finished, building your backend app using Node and Express, how are you actually going to deploy it? Now deploying it also is very easy. You can one way of doing it is with the PM2 application. The full form of it is process manager. So once you have deployed your code onto a particular server, if you can just install the PM2 app, I mean to say the package, and you can just type in the code PM2 start and the name of your application, and it will start your server. Also, if you want to debug something, like if you have an issue and if you want to check like what is the issue where, so you can just add console logs in your application, and in the terminal you can type in PM2 logs. So it will just give you the logs of like as and when the code executes. Okay, next slide. Yeah, so now Gautam will share his insights on what is the future of MERN. Over to you, Gautam.
Thank you, Prajat. Okay, so like everyone is very interested and keen to know what's the future of MERN. Like people, especially the students who have already completed their graduation and trying to get into their development career. So they're also, I mean, like finding here and there what's the best step to choose right at this moment. So it is nothing like that. What is the best stack? So from the performance wise or time complexity, if you think about time complexity, space complexity, so in every sense, like there are different facilities in different stacks. So MERN stack is one of them. So if we think right at this moment, MERN stack would be the best choice, I think, for, I mean, like newcomers. I mean, like people who have at least an idea about HTML, CSS, and JavaScript ES6. So those people who are trying to get into a stack, I mean, like get adapted to a stack, so they can take MERN because MERN, I mean, like learning curve for MERN is also not that much steep. So I will say that learning MERN would be very easy for the newcomers. So now we can see the companies. Another thing is here, React. We are talking about React again and again because React is the topmost favorite front-end library nowadays for the web developers all around the world. So companies which are using React.js, we can see Apple, Adobe, Microsoft, Facebook, Instagram, Netflix, Airbnb, Tesla, everyone using React.js for their front end. So in a sense, we can say that this MERN stack is going to be more popular and popular day by day. Apart from that, like if anyone thinks that also we can use PHP for the backend development with React, that is also good. Even you can use database as an SQL database as the database, not MongoDB. Because when I first started, I ended up, I mean, creating a project with React and Laravel in the backend as the backend framework. So it's not like that you must choose that Node.js or Express for the backend. It's your choice. But if you want to be in JavaScript, so that will be easier for you to take MERN. So what's the future scope and why it's the future? Why its future scopes are great? First of all, it's open source, so you don't have to spend any money to learn all these things and create a project on MERN stack. It's cost effective. Why it's cost effective? Even for the job, I mean, hirers who hires, and for the companies and agencies also, it's cost effective because Express, Node, and React, all three are in JavaScript, in the platform of JavaScript. So if they hire anyone who has great knowledge of JavaScript, so a full stack developer who has great knowledge on JavaScript can handle both the front end and back end. Otherwise, if a developer is from PHP and the front end developer is from JavaScript, so they will this will not that much cost effective for an agency. So in a sense, it's cost effective. Easy to switch between client and server. Why? So I have already mentioned that it's all on JavaScript. So as it's all on JavaScript, so switching between client and server, it's always very easy and comfortable for anyone. UI rendering and performance. So right now, if we think about and if we consider UI rendering and performance, I think React will be the first choice for any developer. There are some alternatives. Sorry, there are some alternatives of React also, like Angular. Angular was very popular when it started. So in the middle time, Angular was more popular. But when React came, day by day, the popularity of React has been increased. And the performance wise also, React is sometimes better than Angular, because Angular does not have the opportunity to use virtual DOM which we have in React. So if we think about the job market, so this is a statistics from Google Analytics. So we can see the past 12 months web search about job markets. So most of the search was for React.js, as we can see, and Vue were the minimum. And Angular also had a good amount of search, but as I already said that the jobs for Angular is now decreasing. Angular is maintained by Google, that's fine, but why Angular is not getting that much popularity? Actually, Angular is for more complex projects. So if you think about both Angular, Vue and React can create single page application, but I mean, like, the three of them has different ability and different approach to solve a problem. So in that sense, React, the next job market for React will be next 10 years, it will be skyrocketing. Next slide, please. Okay, so the community support. If you want to, if you are new to web development, and you want to start a new stack, the first thing you will do that you will search on Google and YouTube for resources. So if you think about the community support also, so React has the best community support right now at this moment. So in the GitHub, it has watches of 6.7K and GitHub starts, if you talk regarding this, 180K, and forks 36.5K, contributors are 1500. So 1500 web developers and programmers are contributing to React. So that is a great opportunity for the React learners also. Next slide. Okay, so next come to the salary for MERN Stack developer. So if we think worldwide, that in USA and Europe market, the average salary of a junior software engineer of MERN as a full stack developer, he will get around 80 to 87,000 per year, $7,000 US dollars. And mid-level software engineer, entry-level software engineer, they will get almost 105K, and the senior software engineer on an average get 175K. So those are the average. This actually varies comparing to one company to another company. In our country, in Bangladesh, it starts from like 30 to 50 for a software engineer when they're starting their career, 30 to 50, sometimes 60, but the average is 30 to 50. And a senior software engineer, it's like 70K to 100K when they're starting in a new company as a new member of that company. So what skills you have to have as a MERN Stack developer? So in-depth knowledge of Node.js, Express, and Restify, ability to bind UI elements to JavaScript object models, and obviously proficiency in object-oriented programming. Please, next slide. Okay, so as we have discussed the features of MERN, like MongoDB, Express, Node, and React. So I can say that MERN Stack will experience a flood in its use in the future. Even if you go to the different sites of like marketplace, the MERN Stack jobs are in topmost priority for last few years. To handle to handle MERN stack efficiently, one is not only the knowledge of JavaScript, but he or she should be familiar with ES6 fundamentals along with the basic concepts of React.js and Node.js. So people, I mean, like students and newcomers, freshers who are trying to get started as a full stack developer and want a career as a full stack developer, I think they can take, and if they're interested in JavaScript, they can take the MERN stack as their, I mean, like as their primary stack. So that's all from our ends. Thank you everyone for joining. So now if you have any kind of question or queries regarding our today's webinar, you can ask your question. Thank you. Thanks everyone for joining that webinar. I think the video of that webinar will be shared onto our YouTube channel, so you can have a look on that if you need. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.